Welcome everybody. It's been 3 weeks since I sown my seeds into these 6-pack trays, and as you can see I had some failures and these will have to be reseeded. These did not work out, so I did have a buy new packs of jalapeno peppers and banana peppers, and of course I'm gonna try these two as well to reseed, but who knows what's gonna happen with them. But on the good side of things, I have at least one good parsley plant. I have really good frying peppers growing, and this was the giant marconi. I have a few big ones. This one is bell pepper. That didn't do so good, but I'm gonna transplant whatever I have and maybe I start some more. And this one is also parsley, so this parsley is from the new pack of parsley. This was from the old. And I planted some dill plants. This was only about 2 weeks ago, maybe. These are not 3 weeks old for sure. And same for the broccoli. I just planted these a couple of weeks ago. So I will transplant all these. And on this tray I have lots of kohlrabi and a couple of kinds of cabbages and lots of basil that I'm gonna replant. And the rosemary is still tiny, so I'm gonna leave that alone to still grow. And I have some onions here only because some of the kohlrabi is in there that I have to weed out. And for the onions in general, I'm gonna just give them a haircut. These and those that are still out there on the rack. That's all I have to do for now. I am not transplanting any of the onions at this point. And you really have to cut their length because otherwise they're gonna flop over and they're not gonna turn out good. So just like that, make them a little shorter, about half size what they used to be, and I'll clean that up as I go along. I've been bottom watering them once a week. I would just put about a finger deep water, what is that, half an inch, and let them sit there for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then whatever is left over, like this one, I would dump it out. But I watered these yesterday and I was too lazy to do that. But you really should not leave water in there sitting like that. But since I'm transplanting them anyway, they're fine. So let's get started with the transplanting. And I like to use round pots. Now there are lots of options, right? You have your round ones, you have the square ones. These are a little bit bigger, so I like to use this for tomatoes. And then I also have been using these Dixie cups. Just put some holes in the bottom. Again, this is good for tomatoes if you really have tomatoes that are getting really big and you want to plant them deep so they can have big roots. I use this only if, again, my tomatoes get really big and I still cannot put it outside, and that's why I haven't planted tomato seeds yet, because they would get really huge. I learned my lesson on that one. So I do like in general to use these. This is from the dollar store where you can get 10 for $1, maybe $1.25 now. But I reuse them year after year. I think these are about 3 years old. And I don't wash them or sterilize them or do anything. It's just dump them out and let them dry. So I have not fed any of these yet. So they've been in the seed starting mix. It has not seen anything other than just plain water. However, today as I transplant them, I will feed them with water soluble fertilizer, and I've been using this. I quite like it. And this gives them enough nutrients where they're gonna be nice dark green and keep growing. So I'm gonna do this once a week after I transplant them. So my potting mix here is still dry, sort of. I'm not gonna put any water on this, not like what I did for the seed starter, although it's very similar in texture. It does have bigger wood pieces, and that's gonna work out just fine. So I'm gonna just start filling pots, and it's just easier to transplant things into dry mix than if you try to do it in really wet soggy mix, because you have to go deep into it, right? So what I do is I'm gonna fill them all the way up. Again, push them in nicely so they come out almost in the bottom, because I will be bottom feeding them, bottom watering them. I'm gonna start with these. These are the frying peppers. And first I'm gonna dump each cell out. I'm gonna leave the parsley in there for now. They can keep growing. And I'm gonna separate these and see which ones I like to keep. All these three are pretty good, so I'm gonna plant these three. And all I do is stick my finger in it and then push them down fairly deep, so they're not gonna be too leggy. I'm not gonna keep this one, doesn't look very healthy. I have another three here that I can plant. This guy doesn't look good, it's kind of white. And same goes for this one. So I have one more. So now I have to label these, and the way I'm gonna do that, I used to just do with letters, so I give them each the same letter, but I'm just gonna say fry. The next thing I'm gonna transplant is gonna be the bell peppers, because I only have 2, so I have 2 spaces here. And again, there was one that really didn't do well. Okay, now that I have a tray full, what I'm gonna do is actually at this point I'm gonna water them from the top, because I want the air pockets to be pushed out if there's any. And then from there I'm gonna do bottom watering, but for now I want to kind of flood them a little bit. So again, this water already has some fertilizer, water soluble. Is it organic? I think it is, but it doesn't really matter at this point, I think. You can certainly do fish feed and all those stinky stuff, but you know, it's in my house, so I don't want any stinky. Okay, so those are good. The next peppers I have is going to be the giant marconis. I don't know why these 2 cells did well, but not the others. Unless I had something else planted there, I don't remember actually. So anyway, we have 2. This little one. I have 5 plants that I can transplant. At this point it's not too late to plant some more peppers, and I will for those that did not germinate. But I think for this kind I have enough. You see why you need dry potting mix? It's just easier to push them in. Okay, let's label these. Alright, so the next thing is gonna be the broccoli. They get a little leggy, so I'm gonna push them as deep as I possibly can. So I'm gonna make all the way down to the bottom. And I'll take off all the dirt as much as possible from the root, because then it's gonna go down easier into the hole all the way to the bottom. Much better. So I'm gonna be filling more pots and planting more. I'll show you the outcome. These are the onions after I cut them nicely. Here are the kohlrabis and the broccoli and the peppers transplanted. Here are some more peppers and the basil and the parsley. For the parsleys, I kind of put them into a bunch. So far I'm going to transplant them again later. Here are more kohlrabis. And then there are some upstairs. For down here I cover my entire rack with plastic because I have a cat. So that keeps the cat away. Finally, I have some overflow trays here. Some of the kohlrabi, and also this is where I'm chilling my potatoes. I brought them out of the basement because they were trying to get too leggy, the chits. So that's what they look like after 2 months. And I replanted some of the peppers that didn't do well, the bell peppers and the jalapeno and a couple of others. And I did plant beets, spinach, marigold, and cauliflower, and I don't even remember what that is. Oh, thyme. A couple of cells of thyme. This is the rosemary that's still growing, so I had to turn on the light for that. And this one is the hot long pepper, which I actually planted about a week ago, but they are now on the heating pad. And I do have the light on, the grow light, because again, I do have some already in process of growing. So for that, I need to have the light on. So we'll check back again next week. See you then.